What your resting heart rate says about your lifespan. The beat that predicts your future. You're lying in bed, still, quiet, and your heart is doing something extraordinary. It's telling you how long you might live, not in years, not in guesses, but in beats. Every silent thump beneath your chest is a clue, a signal, a forecast. For decades, doctors overlooked it, until a series of powerful studies uncovered the truth. Your resting heart rate could be the single most overlooked predictor of your lifespan. It's not just a number on your smartwatch. It's your body's internal metronome, ticking toward health or decline. And here's the chilling part. Most people have no idea what their resting heart rate even is. But by the end of this video, you won't just know your number, you'll know exactly what it means for your heart, your future, and the years ahead. So let's start with the basics. What exactly is resting heart rate, and why does it matter so much? Resting heart rate, RHR for short, is the number of times your heart beats per minute when your body is completely at rest. It's usually lowest first thing in the morning, before you even get out of bed. No stress, no movement. Just the natural rhythm your heart falls into when you're calm, still, and safe. For most adults, a normal RHR falls somewhere between 60 and 100 beats per minute. But here's the secret. Lower often means stronger, and higher can mean your heart's in trouble, even if you feel totally fine. Think of it like the idle speed of an engine. A healthy, well-tuned heart doesn't need to race to keep your body going. It beats slowly, efficiently, with confidence, and the ideal range. For longevity and heart health, research suggests the sweet spot is between 50 and 70 beats per minute. Below 50? It could mean athletic strength, or something more serious. Above 80? That's where the danger starts to rise. But this number doesn't just reflect your heart's rhythm. It reflects the story of your entire body, your fitness, your nervous system, your stress, and your future. And the deeper we look, the clearer the message becomes. The faster your heart beats at rest, the sooner your time may run out. Let's explore the science behind this. Why does a high resting heart rate predict a shorter life? The answer lies in decades of powerful studies, and what they discovered might just change how you see your own heartbeat forever. The lifespan connection. RHR and mortality risk. What if we told you that your resting heart rate could quietly predict how many years you have left? It sounds dramatic, but science backs it up, again and again. In one of the most compelling long-term studies, the Copenhagen Male Study, published in BMJ, researchers tracked over 2,800 men for 16 years. They found that for every 10 beat per minute increase in resting heart rate, the risk of death from all causes rose by a staggering 16%. Even when accounting for age, smoking, and fitness level, the trend held. Think about that. Two people the same age, same weight, same habits, but one has a resting heart rate of 60 and the other, 80. The second person is at significantly higher risk of dying sooner, just because their heart beats faster while resting. Another large-scale review published in JAMA analyzed dozens of studies and reached a similar conclusion. A higher RHR is an independent predictor of cardiovascular death, even in otherwise healthy individuals. So, what's happening inside the body? A faster resting heart rate usually means the heart is working harder than it should be when it's supposed to be at peace. This constant overexertion strains the cardiovascular system, wears down blood vessels, and increases the chances of developing high blood pressure, arterial stiffness, heart failure, and stroke. Over time, it's like running an engine too hot for too long, it eventually breaks down. In contrast, a lower resting heart rate often reflects more efficient circulation and better autonomic nervous system balance. It means your body isn't in a constant state of fight or flight. It's calm. It's controlled. It's aging slowly. The data is clear. Your resting heart rate isn't just a number, it's a risk factor. Just like cholesterol, blood pressure, or blood sugar, it deserves regular monitoring and attention. But that brings us to an important question. If a low resting heart rate is linked to longer life, what exactly is happening inside the body to make that possible? To answer that, we need to take a closer look, not just at the heartbeat itself, but at what it reveals about how your heart, lungs, and nervous system work together. Let's explore what a low resting heart rate really says about your body. A low resting heart rate, typically between 50 and 70 beats per minute, can be one of the most reassuring signs your body gives you. It suggests your heart is strong, efficient, and doesn't need to overwork itself to meet your body's needs. Why does that matter? Because with each beat, your heart is pumping oxygen-rich blood through your entire system. When it beats less often, but with greater force, it means your cardiovascular system is doing its job with precision. This efficiency often reflects a well-conditioned heart, especially in people who regularly engage in aerobic exercise like walking, swimming, or cycling. But it's not just about exercise. A low RHR can also indicate a balanced nervous system, especially the parasympathetic side, which is responsible for rest, recovery, and repair. It's the opposite of the fight or flight mode. When your parasympathetic system is in control, your body operates in a calmer, more restorative state. That's when healing happens. That's when aging slows down. Many of the world's healthiest populations, such as those in the blue zones, tend to have lower average resting heart rates, even into old age. Centenarians often exhibit calm, slow pulses, thanks to a combination of daily movement, low stress, and supportive social environments. Their hearts aren't just beating, they're pacing themselves for the long run. Athletes are another example. Elite endurance runners and cyclists often have RHRs in the 40s or even high 30s. Their hearts are so efficient, they can deliver oxygen and nutrients with fewer beats. It's like upgrading your car to go farther on less fuel. But here's where it gets interesting, and potentially concerning. A low resting heart rate isn't always a sign of fitness or health. Sometimes, it's a red flag. If your RHR drops too low, especially below 50 beats per minute, and you're not a trained athlete or physically conditioned individual, it could signal a deeper issue. And if that slow rhythm comes with symptoms like fatigue, dizziness, fainting, or shortness of breath, it may be more than just a harmless quirk. So how do you tell the difference? While a low resting heart rate often signals strength and cardiovascular efficiency, there's a line where, slow and steady, crosses into something more serious. That line is called bradycardia, typically defined as a resting heart rate below 50 beats per minute in adults. For athletes, this can be perfectly normal. But for others, especially those who aren't highly active, it might point to a hidden problem. When the heart beats too slowly, it may not pump enough blood to supply the brain and organs with the oxygen they need. The result? Symptoms that can be subtle or sudden. Fatigue, lightheadedness, dizziness, shortness of breath, and in more severe cases, fainting or even cardiac arrest. One of the most common causes of abnormal bradycardia is sinus node dysfunction, when the natural pacemaker of the heart starts misfiring. Instead of keeping a steady rhythm, it sends erratic signals, causing the heart to slow down unpredictably. Another issue involves electrical blockages, interruptions in the pathways that carry signals across the heart. These can be the result of age-related degeneration, medication side effects, or underlying conditions like hypothyroidism or Lyme disease. And then there's sleep apnea, a sleep disorder where breathing repeatedly stops and starts during the night. Over time, this can damage the heart's rhythm and contribute to dangerously low resting heart rates during sleep and even while awake. What makes bradycardia particularly tricky is that it often hides in plain sight. Many people don't notice their symptoms, or they chalk them up to stress or aging. But left unchecked, bradycardia can lead to serious consequences: poor circulation, organ dysfunction, or in extreme cases, heart failure. Fortunately, bradycardia is diagnosable and treatable. An EKG or Holter monitor can track heart activity over time, helping doctors identify abnormal patterns. In some cases, lifestyle changes or adjusting medications may be enough. In others, a pacemaker may be required to keep the heart beating at a safe rhythm. So while a low heart rate can be a badge of health, it's important to know when it isn't. But what about the other extreme? Because if a heart that beats too slowly can be dangerous, what happens when it beats too fast, even when you're doing nothing at all? Let's explore what a high resting heart rate says about your body. When your heart races at rest, it's trying to tell you something. A resting heart rate consistently above 80 beats per minute, especially when you're calm, seated, or lying down, can signal that your body is under more stress than it appears on the surface. And the higher it climbs, the louder the warning becomes. Unlike a low RHR, which often reflects fitness and resilience, a high RHR can point to an overworked heart, a taxed nervous system, or underlying health issues quietly building in the background. So what's going on inside your body when your heart is constantly on overdrive? For starters, a high RHR means your heart is working harder just to maintain basic bodily functions. That could be due to chronic stress, poor physical fitness, dehydration, anemia, infection, or even something as common as not getting enough sleep. But here's where it becomes more serious. A high resting heart rate is directly linked to increased risk of cardiovascular disease, stroke, and early mortality. In fact, studies have shown that people with a resting heart rate above 90 bpm have up to twice the risk of dying early compared to those with a lower rate, even if they're otherwise healthy. It's also a red flag for inflammation and hormonal imbalance. When your body is in a constant state of low-grade stress, it releases cortisol and adrenaline. These hormones elevate your heart rate and blood pressure, pushing your cardiovascular system to run faster and harder than necessary. Over time, this persistent acceleration wears down the blood vessels, weakens heart muscle function, and increases the likelihood of developing atherosclerosis, the hardening of arteries that leads to heart attacks and strokes. And unlike external symptoms like fatigue or joint pain, a high resting heart rate often goes unnoticed. It doesn't hurt. It doesn't stop you from going about your day. But quietly, steadily, it's shaving time off your life. The question is, why? What is causing your heart to beat faster, even when you're doing nothing? To answer that, we have to look beyond the heart itself, and into the complex wiring that connects your emotions, your stress levels, and your heartbeat. Let's explore how your nervous system shapes your resting heart rate, and what that says about your long-term health. Your resting heart rate doesn't just measure how healthy your heart is. It measures how safe your body feels. At the core of this connection is your autonomic nervous system, which controls all the automatic functions in your body: breathing, digestion, and most importantly, your heartbeat. This system has two main branches: the sympathetic nervous system, responsible for your fight or flight response, and the parasympathetic nervous system, which governs rest and digest. When your sympathetic system dominates, your heart rate increases. Your body gets ready to react, whether there's real danger or just the stress of daily life. Emails, deadlines, traffic, conflict. Even if you're sitting still, your heart may be acting like you're running from a threat. Over time, chronic sympathetic activation keeps your resting heart rate elevated. This isn't just exhausting, it's aging you faster. On the other hand, when your parasympathetic system is in control, your body enters a state of calm. Your breathing slows. Your blood pressure drops. And your heart beats fewer times per minute. This is where healing, digestion, and cellular repair happen. Your RHR is a real-time window into this balance. A high RHR often means your body is stuck in high alert mode. You might not feel stressed, but internally, the alarms are ringing. Your nervous system is pushing the gas pedal down, and your heart is paying the price. In contrast, a lower RHR, especially in non-athletes, suggests your body is spending more time in a parasympathetic state. It's managing stress well. It's conserving energy. And it's recovering properly. Some researchers also use a related measure called heart rate variability, HRV, the subtle variations in time between each heartbeat, to track this balance. Higher HRV often means better nervous system flexibility and lower overall stress. But here's the best part: your autonomic nervous system isn't fixed. It can be trained. Your resting heart rate can be lowered. Your nervous system can shift from fight or flight to rest and repair. So if your heart feels like it's racing, even when your life seems calm, don't ignore it. There are simple, science-backed steps you can take to slow your resting heart rate and reset your body's stress response. Let's explore how to naturally bring your resting heart rate down and reclaim control over your long-term health. Lowering your resting heart rate isn't about quick fixes or intense workouts. It's about shifting your body into a state of calm efficiency, day after day. And the good news is, it's absolutely possible, no matter your age or starting point. The most powerful way to lower your RHR is through regular aerobic exercise. Activities like walking, swimming, cycling, or dancing condition your heart to pump more blood with each beat, meaning it doesn't need to beat as often. Just 30 minutes a day, 5 days a week can lead to noticeable improvements within weeks. But movement is only part of the equation. Sleep plays a massive role. During deep sleep, your parasympathetic nervous system takes over, slowing your heart rate and allowing your body to repair. Without enough quality sleep, 7 to 9 hours per night, your heart is constantly working overtime. Breathwork and mindfulness practices like meditation, yoga, or even simple box breathing can also train your nervous system to relax. Just 5 minutes of slow, controlled breathing daily can activate your vagus nerve, sending signals to your heart to slow down. Nutrition matters too. Staying hydrated, limiting caffeine and alcohol, and focusing on anti-inflammatory foods, like leafy greens, berries, nuts, and omega-3 rich fish, can reduce internal stress on your cardiovascular system. And don't overlook the role of stress management. Chronic emotional stress keeps your sympathetic nervous system activated, keeping your RHR elevated even when you're at rest. Creating space in your life for stillness, connection, and joy is more than just a luxury, it's a health strategy. Avoiding tobacco and reducing stimulants can also have an immediate impact. Both nicotine and excess caffeine act as stimulants, artificially increasing your heart rate and constricting your blood vessels. Finally, regular monitoring can keep you informed and motivated. Use a fitness tracker, a smartwatch, or simply check your pulse each morning. Awareness is the first step toward change. These aren't just habits for lowering your RHR, they're habits for a longer, stronger life. And as it turns out, the people who live the longest, those who reach their 90s and beyond, often have one thing in common: their hearts beat slower. Their stress is lower. Their lives, somehow, flow with a steadier rhythm. Let's take a closer look at what resting heart rate reveals about aging and longevity, straight from the oldest people on Earth. If you want to understand the power of a steady heart, look to those who've lived the longest. Across the world's so-called blue zones, regions where people regularly live into their 90s and beyond, there's a quiet, consistent pattern: low resting heart rates. In Okinawa, Japan, Nicoya, Costa Rica, Sardinia, Italy, researchers have found that many centenarians have resting heart rates in the low 60s, and sometimes even the 50s. They're not Olympic athletes. They're farmers, walkers, grandparents, people who live life at a slower, more natural pace. What's their secret? It's not just one thing. It's the cumulative effect of a lifestyle that supports heart health from the inside out. They move often, but not intensely. They garden, walk, climb stairs. They eat simple, whole foods, rich in plants, fiber, and healthy fats. They sleep deeply. They laugh often. And perhaps most powerfully, they manage stress naturally through strong community bonds, spiritual practices, and a daily sense of purpose. All of this keeps the parasympathetic nervous system dominant. That means a lower resting heart rate, less wear on the cardiovascular system, and a greater ability to adapt to life's physical and emotional challenges. Scientific studies support this, too. In a 2014 meta-analysis involving over 1.2 million people, researchers found that individuals with lower RHRs lived significantly longer than those with higher rates, regardless of age, weight, or gender. Lower heart rates also correlate with lower inflammation, higher heart rate variability, and better metabolic health, all of which play critical roles in how we age. It's not about perfection. It's about rhythm. A healthy heart doesn't rush. It doesn't panic. It responds calmly, adapts easily, and recovers quickly. And that's the true secret of longevity, not just living longer, but living better, with energy, clarity, and resilience into your later years. But here's the part most people miss. You don't need to move to a blue zone or radically change your life overnight to gain these benefits. Because the most important signals about your health and future are already beating beneath your chest. So let's bring it all together and discover why your lifespan is in your pulse. Your heart doesn't shout. It whispers. With every quiet beat, it's telling you a story, not just about how you feel today, but about how you'll age, how you'll heal, and how long you might live. A resting heart rate that stays too high signals a body under pressure, overworked, overstimulated, and quietly breaking down. But a heart that beats slowly and steadily? That's a heart built for the long journey ahead. You don't need perfect genetics or a perfect life to shift the rhythm. You need awareness. You need intention. You need small, daily choices that tell your body, you're safe. You can rest, you can heal. Because the truth is, your lifespan isn't written in stone. It's beating in your chest, right now. So take a breath. Check your pulse. And start listening. Your heart is speaking. And it just might be giving you the most important message of your life.